buddy.
Hey, buddy, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Yeah, good. Good as goes.
Sunny's on, mate.
Pardon?
Oh, the sunny's on.
Yeah, well, the normal glasses, they just turn into sunnies.
Ah, right. You're sitting outside.
Yeah, although it's raining at the moment, so pretty cool. So,
Nice.
hi, Julie. Mary, welcome. Yeah, so it's a miserable cold day in Melbourne at the moment.
Ah, well, there you go. Nothing new, mate.
I was 37 degrees yesterday.
Oh, it just would have been a miserable hot day in Melbourne.
Yeah. We can see half your head, Mary.
Huh?
We can see half your head. That's better.
How's my mic?
It's actually still a little bit echoey for me. And now it's not, it's gone silent.
She's completely frozen.
Yeah.
She's playing with something.
All right. Yeah, no, she's gone. So it may not be the mic that's the problem. It could be just our internet connection.
Could be.
You're back.
I'm back. I just
Back
need
in the
internet
New
connection.
York groove.
Yeah, I could have a latent defect. It could be me.
No, I had to switch Bluetooth connection or Wi-Fi connections.
Yeah, no, that's a lot better than it was this morning and in the other videos for sure.
I found a program to fix it. There's an app for that.
There's always an app for that, isn't it? Oh, yeah. We'll give it a couple of more minutes, see if we get any more stragglers. See what happens.
Dad, I made it 2 meetings in one day.
Yeah.
I know. I'm impressed, Alan. You got one more yet? She's gone again.
Wow, she had swapped screens. I don't know where.
It might be better to have her camera off. She might have a
There you
better
go. She's back.
internet.
Yeah. Oh, aren't you booked into my 3 o'clock? Or whatever time it is over there? The funding?
Yes, that's
Yeah.
10 o'clock tonight. It's in a couple more hours.
Oh, love it. Love it. The commitment.
Actually, it's more like 11 o'clock, isn't it? Your time?
It's like 10. Yeah, it's about 10 o'clock.
Okay. Interesting times. So, and how you going, Peter?
Hey, Fred, nice to see you. Hey, Jay,
And
Julie, Ray, Maury, Mary. Apologies, I've been missing in action, but we've had some very severe family health issues. So,
yep.
Anyway, I'm here.
Yeah, all understandable, Pete. All understandable. So, well, we might kick it in. We'll go around the room and we'll do all the standard introductions, and it's really for the recording benefit because everybody here knows each other. So normally, except for Julie, apologies, Julie, you haven't been here before. So we have got one visitor. So let's go around the room, do the introductions, and then we can see where the meeting takes us. I'll kick it off. My name's Fred Gillen. I run a business called More Marketing Ideas. And what I do is I give businesses more marketing ideas by organizing their online strategy. So we help them with their websites, whether that's making it mobile friendly or optimizing it so it attracts the right clients. We help them with their email marketing campaigns. And if necessary, we'll connect it to an online CRM system so they can maintain contact with their clients and stay front of mind. And it's all about making those connections and keeping your business rolling and accelerating in the right direction. So that's me, Fred Gillen, More Marketing Ideas. Peter, would you like to go next?
Sure, Fred. I'm very simple in terms of what I do. My passion and my focus is working with solopreneurs and showing them how to convert leads to get customers. That's really what it is. And so I invite people to spend 30 minutes with a sales conversation specialist. There's nothing for sale, but it sure will be memorable. And I'll put the link in the chat. That's what I'm all about. Thanks, Fred.
Thanks, Peter. Jay.
Hi guys, Jason Walmsley from Be Connected World. I'm the business community builder. I help business owners like yourself around the world increase your profile, productivity, and connect with over 2,000 members who want to do business with you. Be Connected World community consists of 150 online networking events a year, community directory, radio station, and magazine, and has members on every continent. Entry-level membership to the community is only 99 Australian dollars a year. And today I'm looking at being connected with business owners requiring an interest-free line of credit to help scale their business or start a new project, or just general funding assistance. Jason Walmsley from Be Connected World. Get connected, be connected, stay connected.
Thanks, Jay. Raymondo. Hello, Ray.
Did you call me?
I did, yes. How are you?
I'm like Jack Nicholson, mate, about as good as it gets. Okay. Okay, Ray Treadaway from raytreadaway.com across the ditch here in Invercargill on a nice sunny day. Hey, I'm your advocate for New Skin Enterprises and including the beauty devices, which you can see a couple of them there in amongst those products. Okay. And if you want to look 10 years younger in 10 minutes, yeah, these are the little tools that work both on women and men. Okay, from that aspect. So Ray Treadaway from raytreadaway.com, and I'm looking to work with beauty salon therapists and preferably with the owner. And yeah, I'd like a referral into one of them. Doesn't matter which country they're in. It would be a help. And so in the meantime, take care, have fun, and keep warm.
Thanks, Ray. Mary. You're muted. We're lip reading.
It's a disease, Mary. I caught it as well.
But you're still muted. We still can't hear you. Can't hear a word. Your audio's gone.
Silence is golden, Mary. Just keep it that way. Okay.
Your audio's
Beautiful
gone.
smile, Mary, but I can't hear the words.
Well, now you're not talking, so we don't know whether you're speaking or not. Nothing. Zero. All right, let you have a play with that, and we'll come back to you. Maury, you like to go next? Yeah, okay, nice one.
You can tell right away. Okay, cool. So, hey, everybody. My name is Maury Zelkovich, and I'm the world's first and only brainwave entrainment engineer. I help you to help yourself by creating proprietary systems that optimize your mind and brain using something as simple as sound and light. If you're suffering from things like anxiety, stress, sleep issues, monkey mind, your thoughts just fly in every direction. Are you depressed? Do you suffer from seasonal affective disorder, PTSD, ADHD, cognitive issues, Alzheimer's disease, anything like that at all? My systems are designed to help you to help yourself. So I'll put my info in the chat. There's a Linktree link there as well. At the very top of that Linktree is a recording called Dealing with Uncertain Times. If you or anyone you know is having a hard time dealing with the world the way it is, feel free to click a couple of times. I don't ask for anything in return. And as soon as I see the request, I will grant you access. You can share it, you can use it, and hopefully it helps. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Maury. Are you back, Mary, or not? Still struggling? No, still struggling. No audio. Still no audio. All right. Julie, you get the picture. And you've done it in a room earlier today, so you know what the go is. Welcome.
Thanks, Fred. And great to be along just to check this group out. Okay, so my name is Julie Hawley and I'm a market partner with Monate, anti-aging hair and skincare range. So I help people fall in love with their hair again. And I also have a hair quiz that I'll pop in the chat so you can decide what products suit you. And we cater for all members of the family, including our fur babies. So it's all vegan, non-toxic, animal cruelty-free, and just really good products. So that's me.
Thanks, Mary. I just try to think what the topic's going to be today, because I really didn't get organised for this, as is pretty common with me. Just go with the seat of my pants.
Preparation. That should be the topic, Sunshine.
Okay, let's do it. Okay, so how do you prepare for your networking meetings, Jay?
How do I do it? I look at who's booked in for the member presentation for that day, and that's the subject we're going to follow.
Okay, because you have a
we do a member spotlight, so all the premium members get to do a 10-minute as part of, obviously not all in the same one. So we look at who's booked in. So if we've got a number of life coaches booked in over the 3 sessions that week, then we'll follow mental health, well-being, and we also organise all our social media around that as well. So that's the way we do it. But yeah, we have a set format. Look, there are a lot of times I'll walk in and I'm flying by the seat of my pants, but I just never admit it like you do, Fred.
And you've upset Mary, she's left.
Actually, I was going to suggest to her that she check her microphone settings, and if that didn't work, to log off and log in again.
Yeah, no, she's been around a few, so that's probably what she's done. She just logged off to come back in again. Peter, I know you run networking meetings because I attend a few of them. What's your preparation style? What do you do?
Very little, Fred. I always, as you know, I always have a focus not on business issues, but on personal development issues. Okay. Sometimes it's a business issue, but most of the time it relates to people themselves and getting themselves in a situation where they can feel more confident to run a darn business in the first place. Because I don't know about you people, but I come across so many people who are playing the game when it comes to business online in particular. They really don't have a clue. I mean, they're running a hobby rather than a business. They don't really understand how to run it as a business. And a lot of that's to do with mindset. And so that's why I focus a lot on the personal development aspects of running a small business. Okay.
Thanks, Pete. Mary, I'm not sure if you're running any networking meetings yet, but I know you run a radio show. So we'll take that as the example. So how do you prepare for your radio show? And give us an introduction, because I can hear your mic working, I think.
I have a question. Do you make sure that your mic works before the radio show?
Actually,
I do.
I think the internet connection might need to work as well.
And well, you might as well put the brain into gear as well, so that little helps.
I'm pretty. That's all I need, right?
Oh, they're giving you a bucket, Mary.
This is why I do radio. I use my phone, I call in, I talk, and I'm good. Everything else is just hope it works.
So what do you actually do to prepare, or do you just do like I do, just go by the seat of your pants?
Sort of. I have different themes for each day of the week. So I use the theme, and whatever pops in my head when I get on the show, I babble about. And then I get callers calling in, and we just keep running with it. Like today's theme was all about the International Kindness Day and about the kindness program, the book launch, and life. And the benefit that I have is that, my story about my kids and what I do for a living all intertwines into the radio show. So I can talk about everything for about a couple hours.
So I've got another question that I'll throw out there just to see where the conversation takes us. And we'll go around the room and get the answer to this. And it's like, what inspired you to start your business? So what got you? Now, for me, it was a deliberate act, because I worked in corporate up until about 5-6 years ago. And so all the income was generated by going out and contracting at a professional level for a lot of the majors, for a lot of the banks, the government departments or whatever, and getting well paid as an IT consultant. So that was okay. But then I found it harder and harder to get gigs, because I'll get invited in. If I got invited in by a friend, I was okay. But when something came up or that contract finished and it came time to go look for something else, you would go to the recruiters. And you'd send in your resume to the recruiters and they go, yeah, ideal for the job. But then you go in and do the initial interview and there was a 35-year-old person at the other side of the desk, and you immediately got the signals that you weren't going to get the job because for whatever reason. So the writing was on the wall for me, and I decided, well, what am I going to do? And that's the reason that I started my digital networking business, or the agency, which was predominantly around the restaurant arena at the time. So we were going out building websites for restaurants, helping you set up their FPOS and point of sale systems, all that kind of stuff. And then COVID hit. And guess what happened to the hospitality arena when COVID hit? So it kind of devastated what I was doing. And then I pivoted online, and hence we're here with Zoom. And I do a lot of meetings now with Zoom. 2.5 years ago, 3 years ago, if somebody said I would have been doing this, I would have said, you got rocks in your head. I go out and I shake hands and I meet people and I do business. Right. That's how I normally did it. Haven't started that yet this year, but it is the game plan to get back out and start meeting people. Like obviously we've been running the rooms, but for me, that's why it started. It was a necessity. I couldn't get work in the IT arena and I had to do something. So that's why I'm here. So Jay, what's your take on why did you start your business?
Yeah, that's a very good question. And if I look back in my life, I'll go back to being a kid when we shifted to Auckland. Most of the kids in that era around about 1950, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 were all had jobs after school. And my old man never had much spare money left at the end of his job, and it was always an incentive for me to deliver the stars, that the paper that bought my textbooks, paid for my bikes, paid for my school uniforms. And then when I decided to get into business in the aluminium window contracting field, I realized I could do well for myself for what I was just doing on wages before. And so, and also I have a very strong aversion to authority, from that aspect. And so that was another driving factor that I wanted to do things my way, and made a lot of mistakes, got a lot of experience along the way, made and lost some money from that aspect, and look back, I wouldn't change it.
That's actually a good statement, isn't there, about like what would you change if you had the opportunity? And I think my attitude to that is, well, if I changed it, I wouldn't know where I'd be today. So because the whole thing, it's like going back in time. If you change one thing, then nothing that you experienced is going to happen. So
if I wanted to change one thing, it would have been that I did things for the money, because we didn't have any when we were kids. And as I've got a little bit older and probably more networking online, was that it's more than the money, but the money is important, because that has also given me the opportunity in the past to build a yacht and go sailing for 3-4 years in the Southwest Pacific, and now doing what I'm doing with the caravan. So that's the same thing. The money gives you that thing, but the focus has got to be on being more of a service to other people. And the lure of the horizon often took me away from other people, and still does. Yeah.
I love what you do, Ray. I really do. Just the fact that you can get the caravan, go and work anyway.
Yeah, it's only a decision away.
Yeah.
Like everything is only a decision away, and you got to learn to cut the umbilical cord a couple of times on your own, and that's what a lot of people won't do. They and that's been my experience in life. We all know people who've spent a whole lifetime. I'm talking 50, 60, 70 years in the one neighborhood where you grew up, where you've left and they're still there, and there's nothing wrong with that. The society needs the stability from that aspect, but if you got the lure of the horizon, that's what attracts me,
And great story.
That's my rant that's my rant from across the ditch.
No, we've had lots of chats, and every time I talk to you, there's like your life story is just, it definitely needs to get into a book, because it's been pretty amazing, like what you've done and what you've achieved, and the variety of things you've done as well. So thanks, Ray.
Well, it was just another little thing on that. It was just only earlier this week that I was thinking how grateful I am to have lasted this long, because I'll be 81 next month, you know, and and I look back at friends and so forth that I've met along the road, and I thought, Jesus, a lot of them haven't made it. A lot of them are sitting back waiting to die, you know, and you can't afford to do that. You got to keep on keeping on, and I was sort of, for the first time, I sort of started to feel grateful that, geez, I've lasted the distance pretty well, and I've got a lot more to go. And I think a lot of that stuff comes with your attitude, and that spins off into your business as well, you know, and people buy into your enthusiasm. That's my second rant for the day. Jesus Christ, this is getting a habit, you know.
You're on a roll, right?
And he hasn't had a drink yet. Imagine what happens if he has a couple of beverages.
Well, that's right. Yeah, that is a bloody good point, actually.
Peter, what got you to start your current business?
Well, I really resonated with what you just said, Ray. I mean, I'm 78 in July, so I'm hoping I'm in as good a shape as you when I get to 80. That's the first thing, right? I admire you very much indeed. I think you're one of these people who don't sit on their ass, but get up and do things. And I think that's really good. What got me into business, Fred? I mean, I was a school teacher for 16 years and loved it. Absolutely loved it. But unfortunately, I kept getting promoted and I'm an administration nightmare. And I was promoted as a principal of a school, and I just thought, this is not for me. I mean, I don't have a problem leading a team of teachers and all that sort of stuff and leadership, etc. But I didn't want to play the game of, you know, all the administration crap that goes with the education department. So I left. But before I left, I asked my wife, and I've been married before to a lovely Australian lady, and I said to her, tell me, what are two things that you think are the worst jobs in the world? And she said, why? I said, because I'm going to leave teaching. And then that created a little storm in our house, to be quite frank. She said, you what? You're going to leave teaching? I said, yeah, I'm leaving. She said, why? I said, I'm sick of it. I don't want to play the game. Okay. Just think of the two worst jobs. Anyway, next morning we're sitting at the breakfast table. It was a very cold conversation, right? And she wasn't saying anything. And finally I said, come on, tell me, for God's sake. She said, look, you're crazy. I mean, you're doing so well. I said, do me a favor. I hate what I'm doing. If I could teach just one class of kids, I'll stay, but they won't let me do it. So she gave me two options: second-hand car salesman or a life insurance agent. Okay. Well, I took up the life insurance agent. It took me 5 different life insurance companies to get a job. Right. Unfortunately, everyone I went into, I knew the manager there because I was in the Rotary organisation, etc. And they all thought I was bloody joking. I said, no, I'm here to get a job as an agent. Finally, I found someone who didn't know me. They took me on as an agent. I did very well as an agent. I never learned anything about the life insurance products. I employed some kids I used to teach to do all that, and they used to provide all the information. They come with me on an appointment. But I did very well with that, and over a period of time, they then said to me, would you teach other people how to do that? I said, yes, I will, but I don't want to be employed to do it. I want to earn it on a commission basis. I want to cut the action. And that went on all the way through, and I was promoted to the Australian National Sales Manager. Again, not on salary, no corporate benefits, but on a slice of the action of the increase in the sales revenue. That's what I was all about. And then they started putting pressure on me. And the pressure was basically, listen, we want you on salary. You can pick up all sorts of superannuation. I had a self-managed super fund anyway, right? And we can do all this because we can't allow you to be a contractor at this level within the corporation. I said, fine, I'll leave. They said, but you can't do that either. I said, why? I'm not employed by you. I'm just contracting to you. Okay. 30 days notice was the deal. Is that right? And then that's why I went from teaching to the corporate area as a contractor. And then I thought, what's the point? I'll go and run my own show. And that's exactly what I've been doing. And I agree with Ray. I mean, at the end of the day, there comes a time when time is precious to me. And I don't want to be beholden to anybody else, except to the clients that I work with. I am totally beholden to them. But other than that, no, I don't want to play the corporate type game anymore. So that's my quick story, Fred.
It's actually interesting to say that, because like I'm getting the vibe here that most of us here have got the same similar attitude. Like we don't want to work for people. We want to run our own show. Like I've always thought about and worked on, commissions as well, because when you work on commissions, you're actually putting your knowledge where your mouth is, and you're confident. When you work for wages, you're just letting the boss take responsibility for giving you the money. Whereas if you can control your own income, it's a lot better situation. Sometimes it didn't work, but most of the times it did.
Well, in life insurance, I mean, I spent 16 years in life insurance, all right? And I honestly cannot tell you anything about any product. I haven't got a clue. I never, ever learned anything about the products. I just simply talk to the client, okay, about them. And then if the issue regarding a potential of an insurance need came up, I just introduced them to the two kids who were sitting next to me, and they said, and they will give you the technical details. So when I meet with somebody for the first time, I'd say, whatever you do, don't ask me anything about life insurance, because I haven't got a clue. And that was the absolute truth. And that's how I did business for 16 years.
Imagine telling somebody at the top level, like, this is how I've got to teach your staff to not know about your products.
Well, I taught the agency managers and the agents, not necessarily not to know your product, because that was just me. But I taught them to show how you can build a relationship with people and find a potential client without trying to sell your product. Put your products all out of the road. Just get to understand them, find out what their problem is, and help them make a decision as to whether, in fact, they should do business. That's all. And I mean,
yeah.
By the way, that one of the reasons I left, Fred, is because I had a deal, and the deal was 0.25% of the net increase of gross commissions Australia-wide. And we had 4,500 agents. So I did very well, okay, in that, and they wouldn't renew the contract. That's the other reason I left.
Yeah, because they probably looked at the bottom line of what you were actually earning, and they go, this guy's earning too much,
Yeah. And they wanted to control you, and I didn't want that control. I thought, okay, fine, see you later.
It's actually interesting you talked about relationship building, because one of the best trainings I ever had, like I took some time out in the mid-90s of IT, and I went to work for a company here called Aussie John, which was a mortgage broking company. And I learned the skills of selling mortgages to clients. And at the time, it was basically, if you had a pulse, you could get a mortgage. There was no restriction. People would self-certify. You just tell put on paper what you earned, and it was never checked, and you could get a loan. So it was very easy to sell mortgages at the time. But the training skill there was that the last thing you talk about in the conversation is the mortgage, right? It's all about family. It's all about getting to know the person, getting involved in their little environment, whatever it is. Look around the room or make a comment about some statue or some photo or whatever else, and just build that relationship. And then they would eventually say, so what do we do about getting the mortgage? And it was a done deal, because you were mates, and that's what it was all about.
Actually, it was not just a relationship, Fred. I think the more important word is the word trust.
Yeah. Yeah, very important. Very important. Julie.
Okay, Fred. So how I've always been self-employed all my life, because I don't like be like you, Ray. I don't like authority. I don't like being told what to do. So I'm not a very good employee. I've had jobs in the past, but I don't last, because I try and rearrange things and try and change things. It doesn't go down very well. So I'm better to be my own boss. So I've been in the direct selling industry for most of my working life, and I virtually last year was a bit of a pivotal time for me. I virtually moved from Victoria to Queensland. It was a toxic relationship. So I left that and moved all the way back down to Tassie, where I grew up, and I'm now living with my parents. And so I'm literally starting again. I'm 59, and getting a job was definitely not the option, because no one's going to employ me. And also I want to get my own home, because I've got a bit of a time window where I'm living at my parents, but I need a house. And I figure, okay, go back to what I know. So I got started with Monate in October, because I know that that is my vehicle and the only way I can get myself in my own home within the next 2 to 3 years. So I went back to what I know, and I love building a team of women or men, whatever, but it's usually women, because I've done it in the past with a previous company. So I'm just virtually doing it all over again. And really, I've got that big goal there to be able to get myself into a home and everything like that, because I mean, I've got debt because of everything that happened last year. I literally left with what I could fit in the car. So I'm literally starting again with everything. So yeah, and it's all about empowering women to get out of those jobs that are doing their, bodies hard and everything. So I've got that real passion to just really help as many people as I can to, because I want to be able to be traveling and doing stuff when I'm in my 70s and 80s and things like that. I've come back to my hometown, and I think it was you in the same place the whole time, and I'm running into so many people that have never left. And they say, oh, you can go on Centrelink, you can do all this, and I'm thinking, no way am I going on a pension, and no way am I going to be doing carer's pension, so yeah, so that's why I got started again, was because I thought I've really got to be for financial security is my number one priority at the moment.
Yep, that sounds good. Sounds good. And you're obviously heading in that right direction, so that's great. Jay.
Yeah.
Well, if you ask my wife, it's because I'm unemployable. I always have been. And now the problem is, now I'm pushing through my 50s, I'm dead set on the wrong side of the bell curve. I look at what other people do and go, nah, you're doing it wrong. And unfortunately, I've always been like that. This is my 13th business, and I have a 50% success rate. So what I've always done is I'll spend 2-3 years building a business, and if it becomes successful, I will sell it. If it doesn't, I go, oh shit, go back to work, get some money so I can fund the next venture. So I've sold 6, I've lost 6, and now we're on number 13. But the last business I owned was a product called Coastal Coupons. And Coastal Coupons was basically online shopping dockets based in local regions. And we were doing really, really well until COVID came. And the problem that we had is, if you go onto these, and I'm not talking big Alibabas and Honey and stuff like that, but you look at the localized stuff, the majority of our customers were gyms, clubs, hotels, wedding venues. I think you get the point here that as soon as COVID hit, I lost 90% of my billable income. Shut it down, and I had a good working relationship with the girls at BBX. Because I'd been a member of them for years and years and years, and asked them if they could give me some work, can I go and sell? They ended up saying, stuff that coming, you can be the national sales manager, because I've been with them for that long. And that's when I realised again, I was not really employable, even though we forged forward with where we were going, and got to the point 18 months ago. Didn't want to be working, didn't want the salary. I liked the salary, it was great, but I was selling my soul. I wasn't happy with it. I was forcing people within my community to do what I did not agree with. So it was time to leave that. So I had a word with the girls and said, look, no disrespect, I'm off, see you later. They said, not a problem. Still a member with them, still very, very much associated with them, but not on the payroll. And what I wanted to do, I went, this is the last one. I'm not going to sell this. It won't fail. But what have I got to do to make sure it can scale and to make sure it can survive and to make sure it's COVID proof, because COVID is unprecedented. None of us here, Ray's getting close in his 80s, right? But none of us have seen anything like this come along and kill business the way that it did. So how do I take what I've already got and monetize it? And that was to build Be Connected World. I already had all these connections from 25 years of running businesses in Australia. I had to get away from that face-to-face angle, because you could set up networking events, they'd be open for 2 months, then they'd be shut again because the governments would shut all the borders and they'd shut all the cafes, and it just came ridiculous. So I looked at the marketplace and I went, this is where it needs to go. But what I've also done in that period is I've actually spoken to the members, and anybody that's been in my groups would know that I don't do anything without asking the community if they think it's a good idea, or if it's a bad idea. And that's just the ethos that we're going. So to cut a long story short, I started my own business again because I'm unemployable. But the business model has been based around there's nothing external out there that can shut my business down. And it's probably the first ever business out of all those 13 businesses that's happened. There's always been something that can come in and kill it. We're all unemployable. Yes, we are, Mary. That's why we're doing what we're doing.
Thanks, Jack. Mary, kid, how's your audio?
Does it work?
Can't hear you.
Can you hear me?
Can't hear you. You're on mute.
Before you start, I just got to run to the restroom. So, Mary, tell your story and I'll watch the recording, okay?
Yeah, Mary, you're not on mute. I'm lying.
So you can hear me now?
Yeah.
I've been having issues all day. I switched over to a Chromebook and I'm still trying to figure out how to use it.
No, you need a Mac.
No. I need a regular computer that runs Windows I understand that. So the reason I started doing what I was doing, because one, I was told after being 15 years in the military that I was unemployable. I had no work experience. I had no job experience. I didn't know how to do anything. Just say I didn't end those interviews nicely. And so I was trying to figure out what to do because I had no backup plan. My life was supposed to be the military. That was it. Retire, have a nice pension, and do whatever. Then both my kids were diagnosed with different variations of autism. And I found a coach that was willing to work with us and teach me and help me with what autism was. And they wanted $30,000 up front before she'd even help us. And there was no way I was affording that. And so I had to figure it out. And me living in the middle of nowhere, there's no resources, there's no help. So I wanted to build something for people like me that A, can't afford all that money, and two, that had no help, trying to figure out how to help their kids. And it's just spiraled from there.
So I must have come in at the end, did I?
Mary, how
Yeah,
are the
you know the
kids?
story, Fred.
That's okay.
Mary, how are the kids doing?
Phenomenal. So my daughter helped co-write a children's book that just got published today. And it's going to be a series of books that are going to come out about the adventures of her and her brother and what they go through and what they do on a regular basis, circled around kindness. And my son, who was nonverbal, is now verbal, sarcastic, and just very opinionated. And it's not a bad thing.
Where does it get that from?
German, Irish, military, and construction family.
Yeah.
That just sums it up.
Mary, we spoke earlier about it, but do you want to share your story about what you've done with Amazon?
Oh, yeah. So normally they have a marketing package to help you copyright, edit, check your book, do all that. Can you turn it down a little bit, please? And cheapest version is $500. Well, I didn't have that. And I explained to them what the book was for, who wrote it, why we wrote it, everything else, and the proceeds. So because of that, they published it for free instead of the 72 hours that it usually takes to even get it loaded, approved, and up for sale on Kindle. I got it done in 24 hours. And right now, if you research or if you search on Kindle for superheroes or my name, I'm the 10th person on the list for books.
Cool. So, but the thing that I learned out of the conversation with Mary was, and I wasn't aware of it, was like I'm very much aware of Kindle and Amazon self-publishing model, called Create Space, because we actually created a book and published it up there. But what I found out after chatting with Mary was that if you run a not-for-profit organization, you get all the services.
What is going on?
Basically, all the money goes to the charity, whatever it is, but it's got to be a registered not-for-profit. Yep. So that was interesting. So I'm going to be investigating that a little bit more because I'm working with a not-for-profit at the moment, and I wasn't aware that facility was available, because if you can imagine if they can publish small books up there, and instead of looking for donations, somebody's actually getting product, then it's a nice, easier sell to generate income.
It is, and I didn't know about it. I just went on to Kindle, it's Amazon KDP or something like that. And it gives you the option to have someone call you and consult and, whatever. And I talked to them about it because I had no idea how to publish a book and get the right SEO and keywords. And you need to do a class on that one, by the way, Fred. How to find the right keywords and how to do all that fun stuff that I don't fully understand. But no, they walked me through it all. And then they said, well, we'll do this, but normally it's this charge. And I go, well, I can't afford that at the moment. I can do it on Monday, but I wanted to release for the International Kindness Day because it's a kindness program that an 8-year-old set up in her school setting, going through it. And it's a non-for-profit organization, and it goes back into the community for different stuff and keep the foundation or the program running. And they're like, okay. And I checked this morning and it was up for sale. Well, it's free the first week, and then after that, it's $8. American money.
And of the $8, how much does your community get?
We get $5 and some change.
Yeah, so it's about $3. Normally it's around $3 to $4 to publish a book on Amazon. And there's no commitment to any numbers because they print on demand. So if you sell one, you get paid for one. You sell 10, you get paid for 10. You sell 100, yep. You get paid for 100. So it's a great process.
And it was better than a lot of other places where you had to buy so many up front and then have to market it and sell them yourself. And
I
don't have time for that.
Nice move. So, Murray, why did you start your business?
It was a total fluke. I'm one of those unemployables like Jay. I have a big mouth, as many of you probably have already noticed. And if I have an idea or a thought, I say it because I have to be honest with myself and true with everyone I'm around. And bosses don't like it when an employee decides to assert him or herself. So I would get fired from every job I ever had. Within about 6 months or so, I've held some jobs for 2 or 3 years, but I don't go anywhere. I don't get promoted or anything because I was, had too big a mouth, too much of an opinion. So the whole time through all of that, I was severely depressed as well. I was depressed for over 40 years. And that, of course, had nothing to do with why I was getting fired. But I was very depressed, suicidal, tried to kill myself a whole bunch of times. Made a lot of bad investments with money that I had borrowed. So I was heavily in debt. And I ended up, just online looking for ways to feel better. And as I'm hunting and pecking, I ended up finding a bunch of ways I tried, which didn't help me, but they taught me things nonetheless. So after a while, I started getting inspired to, come up with my own things. And that's when I came across this thing called brainwave entrainment, which changes brainwave activity and chemistry, except it didn't help me. And that just depressed me even more. So I realized at that point I have to change it or reinvent it. And when I reinvented it, that's when it started helping me and changing my life. So I basically was on a guy's list in Singapore. I emailed him saying, hey, I just want to thank you for all the help you've been. I've been depressed for 40 years. Some of what you've sent, like article wise, idea wise, I found helpful. And as a thank you, I've been making and researching this technology, and I've been making my own style, my own proprietary way of doing things. I'd like to send you a recording. I'm not trying to sell you anything. I don't want to do business with you. I just want to say thank you. And I forgot about it. 3 days later or 4 days later, I got an email from him. So Maury, I've tried brainwave entrainment before. All it does is make me sick. But you asked nicely, I'll try yours. So I sent it to him. 5 days later, I forgot again. I just figured that's it. 5 days later, he got back to me and said, you know, Maury, I live in Singapore. I'm a Chinese national. I'm a student. And English is like my 5th language. But when I use your recording, I understand it better. I retain the information longer, and I feel more relaxed. How'd you like to go into business together? And we started planning and, you know, scoping out the first product, which was called Quantum Mind Power. It did really well. You have to understand, before that, the best I had done in a year was like, I don't know, $14,000. And I'm in my early 40s at this point. And in 10 days, I made something like $28,000 US. And I'm a Canadian. So that equated to about $36,000, $37,000 in my money in 10 days. And since then, I've now created 23 products that are marketed, 17 more that are going to be launched for the most part this year or next year. And I'm working on 40 other technologies as well. So it kind of got me started. I'm the proverbial snowball at the top of the mountain that started rolling downhill and kept gathering things as he keeps rolling and getting bigger and bigger and faster. So that's what got me into it. It was a total fluke.
It was actually interesting when you mentioned the number of jobs and stuff. Like the first year I came to Australia as a very opinionated 21-year-old, I had 13 jobs in 12 months. The first job lasted 4 hours. I walked in and told the guy to stuff it because I found out he was paying me well under the going rate, because he figured I was just this new uneducated Irish, you know, immigrant that came in and paid me well under the rate. So I told him he got 4 hours of my time and didn't have to pay me. And I walked out the door, grabbed my toolbox as an electrician, walked out the door and walked into a job the next day. Because you could actually do that in those days. You could actually pick your mark, and it was, you know, a great environment at the time. But yeah, I think that's probably a record for most people. 13 jobs in 12 months.
Yeah.
So, all right, guys, we're coming close to the end. Is there any questions or any issues anybody's got at the moment that they, you know, whether it's with my expertise with online marketing or anybody else's motivation, mindset, anything else that they've got issues with that they'd like to bring up and share? And because we've got a brain trust here that can certainly help you alleviate any of that pain. So
Where?
What? Oh, well,
Where's
it
the
wasn't
brain
counting
trust?
you. It wasn't counting you. It's all right. I said we've got a brain trust. I didn't include everyone.
Oh,
So it's okay.
But can I ask you a question, relatively personal question? It's not too personal.
Yeah, of course.
You when you came out to Australia, that was the 10 quid bring out a POM type thing, right?
Yeah, but I was Irish. Yeah, but
Yeah,
okay.
bring out, okay. The 10 pound, whatever, they had a name for it. I can't remember what it was.
£10 POM.
Yeah, it was.
10 pound POM, yeah, that probably,
£10 POM.
whatever it was, right? Okay.
Yep.
When you took that up, that was a huge deal. You came out on your own?
Yep.
I mean, what was going through your mind to make that decision to come to Australia, for God's sake?
Okay,
Hey,
I'll tell you how naive I was at the time, right? And this is what was
Yeah.
going through my mind. And this is no bullshit. This is exactly what was going through my mind. At the time, I just finished my electrical apprenticeship. And so it was time to leave the nest. And I was planning to go to England, and London was the big smoke. And, so I was planning to go there. And it would have cost me £27 to fly to London. It cost me £27 to fly to Melbourne. Or sorry, £10 to fly to Melbourne. And that was the decision. I had no idea what I was coming to, no idea what was here. And the first thing, when I got off the plane at Tullamarine Airport, and I jumped in the car and we headed for a suburb called Brunswick, which is very close to Tullamarine Airport, the first lot of houses I saw were weatherboard homes, right? Now, I don't know whether people have got those in Canada or the US or whatever, but they're timber homes with just siding at the front, right? In the UK and Europe, all the homes are built of brick. So I get to this first street that the car pulled into, and I look at all these weatherboard homes, and I'm going, it was like a Western, to me, it was like a Western village, that you see in the cowboys and Indian shows. And I'm going, holy shit, what have I come to? Right. But I'm still here 50 years later, so or almost 50 years later.
And
Thanks for
those
sharing.
weatherboard homes are worth a squillion now.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
Aren't they, Fred?
In that
Yeah,
suburb,
yeah,
you're probably looking at in that suburb, you're probably looking at 2 million for one of those homes now.
Yeah, million now for those little tiny weatherboard homes that you saw as, yep.
So that was it, Pete. 27 quid or 10. That was the decision.
And you made the decision pretty quickly?
Oh yeah. The embassy said yes, you've been approved. It took me 5 weeks to get my gear together to leave, right? So that was it. So I think I got September or something. I got notification and I was jumped on a plane in November. So
What did your family say? Did you have family? Did you have family?
All my family was home in Ireland at the time. Yeah.
How did they handle that?
They all wished me well, but they said I was mad. But and there was always the influence that he won't go. At the last minute, he'll change his mind. And that was actually the same when I proposed to my wife. It was the same. They won't get married. It's never happened. It's just a whim, right? 43 years later, a whim. Oh, I'm thinking about it. Yeah, okay.
A lot of those instant decisions like that really pay off, well, and they lead you to all sorts of places, and I do projects all over the place in New Zealand, simply because it was a bloody good idea, and it was the lure of the new horizon and the challenge of that thing, and it took me to places like Sri Lanka and Samoa and up into Asia, and but all that stuff is all part of the good experience that you get, and it sort of comes out to play later on in years called wisdom, things like that, so it's all interesting stuff, the journeys we've all been on, the reasons why, and I think a lot of stuff that happens when you're a kid, from it could be your parents whining and bitching about their job and lack of this, lack of that, or something else, and that can have an effect on your decision making, and
Absolutely.
so it's all sorts of stuff, but here we are. It's all good. It's a great life as long as you don't weaken.
Very true.
And it's like everything changes, like you can't, it's not static. You can't just say I know my dad was a plumber, right? And he worked till he was 66, I think it was, and he died when he was 71, right? Just retired and then basically gave up the ghost. And that's what people did then. They just worked in one job all the time.
That was my dad exactly, Fred. Exactly the same.
Yeah.
Retired at 65 and passed away at 70.
Yeah. And it's like they just, whereas you see people now retire, and the retirement is like what Ray's doing. Like, it's not retirement, it's semi-retirement, but you give up work and then you start enjoying life.
Yeah.
So that's what's happening now with most people when they reach our age. It's like, oh, it's like I don't work 40 hours a week. I'll admit that, like I do this and it's part-time and I love it. Love what I do. So it's not 40 hours a week. My wife reckons I'm online all the time, but that's not quite true. But I pick the days, and if somebody of the family rings up and says we got to go, or can you come and visit, mind the grandkids, or do something similar, then the answer is always yes. It's never, oh, hang on, I got to check the diary and think about it. It's always yes. So the family comes first.
I can remember a cousin of mine in the 50s came back from Canada, had been on a scouting jamboree, and I was about 10 or 11 at the time, and he said one thing, and I've never forgotten it. If I knew where I was going to die, I'd never go there.
Wasn't it Spike Milligan that had on his tombstone, I told you I was sick?
But it's all good fun. But at the end of the day, in your life is, and I learned this when I was sailing up in the Pacific, is that it's chemistry or catastrophe with people, and if there's no chemistry there, nothing happens. Absolutely nothing happens.
Good point, Ray. Good point.
No, that's a really good point. And you'll usually tell. Like for me, gut feeling has always worked.
Yeah, I rely on that. Yeah.
Even a lot of times you'll say, oh no, maybe I was wrong, and you give it a go, and then a couple of months later you go, nah, shit, I was right. It might take a couple of years or whatever, but the gut feel in the beginning, you go, yeah, no, I was right. Should have stuck with the gut.
Well, I reckon it's your second brain, and
mine's big enough.
We got Murray in here as a third backup, okay? From that one, but I don't know about you guys, but the few times that I've ignored my gut feeling, I've got deep in the crap.
Yep.
It's interesting you say that, Ray, because I'm currently running a paid mastermind, and it was oversubscribed. Okay, there's 30 people, and I've got 7 for the next one. Not once did I ask anyone to pay. Not once did I ask anyone to buy. I spent the whole time talking with them on a take it or leave it basis. Okay. And the idea was, did I have a gut feeling that I could work with you? If I didn't have that gut feeling, I didn't offer it to you. And so and that's how I did it. Got 30 people in a mastermind, a paid mastermind, goes for 12 weeks. And I never sold anything at all. And we're having a lot of fun. And by the way, it's keeping me young. Well, don't look at the thing too close, but it is because it keeps this young up here. That's the point of it. Really
we had a brief chat about that too, like online in Messenger, Peter. And I think you got to package that. The way that you got those like people engaged and that, like, I don't know whether you can package it because a lot of it had to do with your personality and your delivery style as well. But I mean, because I reached out and I asked you, like, what was the response like when you sent the PDF out to people, whatever. And I was blown away when you told me the numbers, and I'm going, that's amazing. But it's like what you said, you didn't sell anything.
No, never. And I think I even gave you a copy of the brochure, didn't I?
Oh yeah, you sent the brochure, yeah.
And even in there, you're not being sold anything anyway. It's up to you.
We'd have take it or leave it in there.
Yeah.
Which is
and by the way, that's how I coach people, the same thing, because it works, because people don't have any pressure. That's the point of it. Anyway, enough of that crap. Thanks for today, Fred, and my apologies for being missing in action up until now, but you understand that we've had some and still having some challenges. So.
Okay, guys, I got to do a runner. I got another thing on in 2 seconds.
Don't forget to save the chat if you want to connect with anybody in the room, guys.
Yeah, save the chat.
All the details.
Good luck with the kids, Mary.
Recorded all the lies and everything that goes with it, Anyway, catch you next time. Okay.
Take care,
everyone. Thanks,
Fred. Guys.